Hi, this is Jim Hilgendorf. My wife Elizabeth and I are continuing our journey of traveling together to a new America. Elizabeth passed away about a year and a half ago, but we're together still, heart to heart, in life, in death, moving together, reaching out to people all across this country. As we go along, I like to really point out some of the amazing, remarkable people from our past of America. One of these was a woman named Jane Addams. Jane was born in Illinois in 1860 into a quite prosperous family, the youngest of 8 children. But when she was about 4 years old, she contracted tuberculosis of the spine, and it left her spine bent out of shape. It really hurt her. She felt from then on as though she were a useless, ugly person. When she was in her teens, she read a lot, and she developed this idea of becoming a doctor and living among the poor and helping the poor. And so she went to enrolled in medical school. But after the first year, she suffered a tremendous nervous breakdown, and she had to withdraw. And for the next couple of years, she traveled Europe with her stepmother, trying to really recover herself. It was a time of deep depression. She felt useless, as though her life were useless to this world. In 1887, she read an article in a magazine about a settlement house in London. It was a famous place called Toynbee Hall, which catered to poor people, to immigrant people, to help them. And she went out a couple years later with a friend and rented an old, rundown mansion in one of the worst, poorest, most industrialized areas of Chicago. And she founded Hull House. The whole idea behind Hull House was to help the poor, to help the immigrant population that were streaming in to the country and into Chicago. And they founded daycare centers for working mothers. They founded a kindergarten, an employment agency, all things to help these people. And after a year or two, Hull House was servicing 2,000 new families every week. The idea of Hull House spread nationally, and soon there were hundreds of similar settlement houses founded all across America. She later went on to help in so many different ways. She was part of helping to passage national child labor laws. She also was one of the founding members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. She labored intensively for women's rights. She was a great advocate for peace also, and especially during the First World War, she received a lot of flack, a lot of enemies because of her efforts for peace. But she labored on, continued on, and in the end, came out smelling like a rose. In 1931, she was the first American woman ever to be awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace. In our own times, it's good to remember what she did, because just a few years ago, we had a government, a presidency that was shutting all of our doors, cutting ourselves off from other countries, other peoples, and you can't do that. Well, you can't cut yourself off from the rest of the world without cutting your own development off at the core, at the root. And this is the struggle, and we need to remember this woman who was opening doors to the world, to the immigrant population, trying to consider compassion for the world's peoples, because this is the era that we're moving into inexorably. Beyond these old distinctions of race, of culture, of ethnicity, of nationality, of religion, of politics, of everything else that's been separating ourselves, dividing us forever into a new dimension of living and being. Human beings, part of the global human family, and deeply respecting life, respecting the sanctity of life and the potential of individual people, people tied at the very core to the very heart and power and potential of the universe itself. And Elizabeth and I, for 50 years, have been traveling this path to traveling together to a new America as part of the Soka Gakkai International. It's now the largest Buddhist lay organization in the world. About 12 million members now, around in 192 countries and territories around the world. Chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, a powerful tool for changing destiny, overcoming problems, and developing a life of absolute happiness. And this movement, Soka Gakkai, is spearheading, is part of a movement of many, many other people, many other organizations that are moving us into this new dimension of being here in the United States and the world. This is our future. Please read our book, Traveling Together to a New America. It's this story of where we're going now. And in the meantime, I'd just like to say, keep faith with yourself. Keep faith with your greatest dreams for yourself and for others and for America and for the world. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.